The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media. Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
Well, it should be the view of WDEL and all the advertisers management. Well, Dan White's a great guy. Look, I've been a client for many, many, many years. Never lost money. Always gained money from what I've done in investments with Dan White. See, what Dan White and Associates do is, they are financial planners specializing in retirement income. And for those of us who experienced the great stock market, I don't know what you're going to call it, drop, crash. I mean, it feels like a crash. If you've lost 30 to, maybe 60% of your stock investments at the beginning of 2022, right? Well, look, I've been talking with Dan and reading economists, as I share with you. And because of my conversations with Dan and the economists that I've been reading, starting in November of 2021, I said, wow, you know what? I'm going to do something I've never done before. Instead of having 80% of my rollover retirement money in stocks, I'm going to go to 80% cash. And I did that, and I finalized that about the first week of January, and oh, man, am I glad that I've been reading the people that I'm reading and listening to the people I'm listening to. One of them is Dan White. Now, Andrew Wood, also another brilliant guy. He works with Dan White and Associates. He's in the Middletown office. He's on the phone right now, as every Wednesday after the news at 1:30, except for the days we don't. We have Andrew or Dan Simon or Dan White will call in with some great advice for you. So, Andrew, Happy New Year. Thanks for calling in.
Happy New Year to you as well, Rick, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. So I see you sent an email. It says the Secure Act 2.0 has passed. How it affects your required minimum distributions. Yeah, right. So if you're over 70 and a half, or if you've inherited money, and the government says you got to be distributing some money because we want our tax dollars, well, you'd better do that. But I had no idea that Secure 2.0 might impact this. Tell us how.
Yeah, so we've been talking about this for the last month or two, but this officially passed on December the 23rd, and I think what's going to impact most retirees or individuals in their 70s is that they bumped the age again. So it was 70 and a half, then it got bumped to 72, and for anyone this year, so if you're turning 72 this year, you actually don't have the RMD this year. It's going to be bumped to 73. All right, so that's in effect January 1 of this year. So the RMD age now is going to be 73. That is, it looks like it's going to be changed in 2033. They're going to bump that up to about 75. So now, that hasn't been said yet, but it is 73.
Now, Andrew, when they make these changes, usually they say, okay, but it only affects people who are born since or before a particular year. Is that also in this Secure 2.0?
Yeah, so I mean, they don't list the actual years, but what they're basically saying is, look, if you've already been forced to take your required minimum distributions, you're going to continue to have to do so. But for anyone that was planning on needing to take the RMD this year because you were turning 72, it's not going to apply to you. It's now going to be 73 for those individuals.
Nice. So if you're still working in your 70s, and as people know, my gosh, even my doctor says I'm in great shape for a 98-year-old guy. So, well, yeah, think about it, folks. Doesn't mean I'm real healthy. So, but if you're working and you say, well, I'm making money, I don't want to take any money out of my retirement, then you don't have to now until after, what is it, 73 or 73 and a half?
No, 73.
Okay, 73.
If you turn 73 this, so if you turn 73 in that year, you have to take it.
Gotcha. All right. Anything else we should know about this?
Yeah, there were a few different things. So before, for a Roth IRA in particular, you never had to take any required minimum distributions unless it was inherited. However, Roth 401ks, Roth 403bs, those qualified accounts, you did have a required minimum distribution. Why? I don't really know. But they just lifted that requirement. So there are no pre-death required minimum distributions from any Roth account. So that's an added benefit as well.
Cool. Good to know. Sunday mornings at 7, Dan White presents On the Money here on this radio program at 7 o'clock in the morning. What's going on then? Do you know?
I do, but Rick, I'm going to go over one last thing with you.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
there were huge penalties for these RMD if you failed to take them or if you missed them. They were at 50% of the amount that you had failed to pull out. So they changed that. The penalty is now 25%, but it looks like if it's corrected in what they're calling a timely fashion, we'll figure out what that means. They can reduce that penalty down to about 10%. So congratulations. If you mess up, you get to keep more of your own money. So that's obviously a good thing. Yeah.
That's highly unexpected. I mean, usually what Congress does is say, how can we screw people out of more of their money because we need it more than they do? I mean, really, that's the way people, whether it's, well, I'm not going to get into too much politics with you, but, that's usually the way that they figure these things. That's remarkable, actually. It is quite remarkable.
If I could get into a half-hour-long conversation with you about why they're making these changes, at least in my opinion, but I won't get into that. This Sunday's show is how safe are your retirement savings and investments? So, obviously that's a lot of what we do, and I know you talk about us, if you look at our ads, but, what I find is that, most people are looking for security, right? Financial security. They're looking for safety, making sure that, they're going to be okay regardless of what happens with the economy, with the stock market. And that's a lot of what we do. And Dan's going to go over, just some specifics there.
So I'm looking at my calendar right now. What would be a good day for you to spend half an hour talking about why they made these changes to retirement accounts? I mean, I'm not kidding. I'd like to, maybe we can't figure out a day today, but I'd love to hear why you think that is, because you guys, you and Dan Simon and Dan White have been doing this for so many years. And you and Dan Simon have been learning from the master, Dan White, for a long time as well. I imagine you have some meaningful insights.
Just a few. We've met obviously before. I know I don't look very old, but I just turned 39, and I've been doing this for a long time now, ever since school. So this is certainly our passion. It's our passion to help people and making sure they're avoiding mistakes and again, building that financial security that most people are looking for.
All right, this is Andrew Wood, Dan White and Associates. He's in the Middletown office. Dan is just up to 202 there, just a couple of minutes north of Delaware. You can give him a call at 888-690-8820 and say, listen, I'm very concerned about my retirement, or maybe not too concerned, but you want to have someone take a look at what you're doing, make some recommendations perhaps. 888-690-8820, Dan White and Associates. Andrew Wood, thanks, man. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.